For the month of August, Radisson Hotels is actually sponsoring Coffee Connections around the world. And we're here today from the Radisson in Nashville, Tennessee. It's really exciting to be here with Heather. And I just want to say anyone who's attending Coffee Connections in person this month, y'all are going to receive these awesome tumblers that Radisson is donating to military spouses around the world. So if there's a Coffee Connections where you're located, you're going to go home with some of this good stuff. So Heather, welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome to Coffee Connection Live. Will you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure thing. I'm so excited to be here with all of you. Radisson has been partnering with the USO since 2019, so it's been a few really, really great and powerful years. And I'm the director of brand marketing at Radisson, and I'm responsible for all of our partnerships. And just really want to say thank you to all of you spouses out there for your selfless service and dedication to service. So Radisson has about 620 hotels in the Americas. So we're located in the US, Canada, Latin America, and the Caribbean. So lots of great destinations for all your travel, whether it's visiting family, PCSing, going on a vacation. We hope that you get to do that sometime. You all deserve it. And we have 9 hotel brands. So we'll tell you more about that and just our travel tips later. But thank you all. And very excited to be here.
So happy that you're here. And we actually have a live studio audience today. We've got some military families here in the room with us and the local USO team. So if you hear laughter and applause when we're super hilarious, that's why. You guys are here too. So Heather mentioned that Radisson is everywhere, all around the world, and coincidentally, so are military families. So there's always a lot of travel in our lives, whether it's a PCS or a family vacation or whatever. So we said we would talk about travel today and all the different fun experiences that we all have with it. So when it comes to finding hotels, what are you guys looking for? Nicole, what are you looking for when you find a hotel?
So I definitely, it depends on what kind of trip it is. Is it for me? Is it just for me to get away and get a good night's sleep? Or is it, for work? But for this trip, actually, it worked out perfectly because I got here and I was welcomed by a beautiful, bright area that had a breakfast space, a place where you can go and kind of like check into your laptop and just plug away and get some work done. The staff was incredible. And what I loved too was that the airport shuttle. I'm always one to just figure out, grab a ride share or something like that. But then I saw there was a shuttle and thought, well, this is incredible. So, and I just had so much fun talking to him too. The driver was so sweet. So that was a lot of fun. But what about you guys? What about you, Heather?
Again, it depends on the occasion, usually proximity to location or whatever I'm doing. If it's attending a conference for work, staying at that individual hotel so you don't have to commute back and forth. If it's with family, are we traveling with a big group? Do we need multiple rooms? Are there adjoining rooms? What's the situation? So it really depends, but usually proximity to activities is kind of the number one thing I look for.
Yeah. What about you, Liz?
Well, we travel with our kids and dog, and so we're typically looking for a pet-friendly hotel.
Yeah.
So I don't know, we would always put that, when you're searching on your phone, you can put in make sure it's pet friendly.
Right.
That for us was always first and foremost because he's a member of the family. But how many people can sleep per room? Our girls are little, they can share a bed, but if there's a pull-out couch, that's always even better, 2 beds and a pull-out, so the kids don't have to fight over who's touching their pillow and their blanket and everything else. That's always a big thing. The room fridges, the amenities, we love to I'm always drinking water. So that even though this is Coffee Connection Live, spoiler, there's water in here. If there's a fridge, so I can have cold water, even better, microwave, the little things in the room. And we got talking about this the other day. Outlets. I don't know about you guys, but we're charging iPads, iPhones, watches, internet pucks if we're on a long road trip. There have to be outlets in the room. And that's one thing that I noticed next to my pillow. There's USB ports and regular outlets, and they're all right there in between the 2 beds. And that convenience, I recently stayed at a hotel that had 1 outlet for the entire room. I was like, how am I supposed to charge all of
You're
these?
unplugging alarm clocks and things like that
Lights.
just to be able to charge your devices.
No.
Yeah, we're really good about that here at the hotel. In the king bedroom, there's 2 or 3 USBs and an outlet on each side of the bed, and then all over the room. So it's something we really think about in design too.
We love that.
Yeah, and I noticed that last night too, as I'm taking my iWatch off and plugging in the thing for that, and then for my phone, and then for my work phone. I'm like,
It's all
Like,
right
this is- yes, yes. So
It's
that was,
little things.
and then I was gonna ask you guys, when you go to a hotel, are you with the toiletries? Like, I geek out over toiletries. I like am obsessed. So are you guys one to like bring your own toiletries, or do you use the hotel toiletries? What do you guys do?
It depends for me.
Okay.
Sometimes I will bring mine, but I'll also use what the
Yeah.
hotel has.
Yeah.
And when you find a shower cap, that is like gold.
Yeah.
Sometimes they have really scaled down the amenities at hotels, I've noticed. Not us. So I was very excited to use my shower cap.
Yeah.
I know it's like a little thing, but you know, in the pandemic era, hotels have been figuring out how to reduce costs, reduce waste, reduce items in the room, touch points, but having some of those extras, which we've been bringing back, are really helpful. So I like those. What about you, Liz?
Same thing. I got really excited when I saw the shower cap. Like, I don't even have one of those at home, but I don't wash my hair every day, like no matter where I am. And so I always am trying to like cover it up. Yes, absolutely. And I typically bring my own, but if I know that I'm just carrying on a suitcase, then I'm all about the hotel size amenities because they're all TSA friendly. So I don't have to bring my big shampoo, my big lotion.
Right.
Yeah. So that's
a big deal.
and when you get to a hotel room and you're like, these are swanky, right? Like that's a nice shampoo. And the lotion smells good. Like that's a big deal.
It's a big deal. And especially for families that are PCSing too, to have a bunch of toiletries to have with you, and then you can take it with you in your next destination. Such a big deal. So, but
Hotels that include a breakfast and have a fridge and microwave. Breakfast is huge. When I travel with my husband, when we go on a couples trip, he is like, I don't care where we stay, but it needs to have a free breakfast because I will wake up at 5, you can sleep in, I will go eat breakfast before you even wake up, and then I will come and wake you up and tell you all about the breakfast.
yeah.
Which is always fun. But if you have kids too, that's so nice because it's one less thing that you have to plan. Like when you are traveling for whatever occasion, you're planning everything. You know, a lot of you are probably planning all of it. And if there's a breakfast right there for you, it's less cost. It's already built into the hotel price, or maybe you booked it with points, and then you don't have to figure out where you're going with your family for breakfast. So it's kind of a beautiful thing.
Yeah. 100%. Yeah, it's one less meal that you have to worry about. And then you can get the family fed and then go on your journey to wherever you are and go explore. So
the other cool thing about getting breakfast at a hotel is that you get to talk to the breakfast attendant. And there was just the sweetest breakfast attendant here, and has worked here for like 20 some years. And will tell you everything you want to know about your destination, ask you what you're doing, ask you if you need tips, like talk to the locals in the hotels. Sometimes they're also the best travel guides. I love learning and picking up tips from folks who work in hotels. So they're super dedicated locals, great ideas, and can sort of help you with the planning that way too. So that's always a fun thing to do at breakfast, is just get to know the attendant and ask questions or get recommendations. So that's always kind of a fun thing.
I absolutely agree. The subject matter experts are right in front of you.
Road trips. Nicole just finished up a cross-country PCS with kids, a dog, an Airstream, whatever, like all the things. So road trip, let's talk road trips.
Let's talk road trips. So I think all in all, it was about a 26-hour drive from point A to point B. And people were like, how did you do it? We had 2 little kids and we had 2 cars and like the camper and everything like that. So what's funny is we use walkie-talkies. I don't know if I've ever shared that with anyone before, but we have walkie-talkies. We're like truckers, and we kind of communicate with each other like, we're ready for lunch, like let's pull over. And then so the walkie-talkies is a huge deal if you have the 2-car situation. Also fun for the kids because they're like, how is, usually they see you on the phone, but then this walkie-talkie, you insert that into the picture. I'm like, this is incredible. So we're also we use iPads at devices. Like that is something that we limit the time and say, let's put on a show. And they're like, how much longer? And we're like 30 minutes, like pick a 30-minute show and we'll, make a stop in about 30 minutes. But I mean, I know there's different takes on that, but that got us through 26-hour drive. So, it was good, but definitely a playlist too. We listened to a lot of music. A lot of sing to music we're listening to in our household right now, but it's a really good soundtrack, so that worked out well. But what about you guys? When you guys go on a road trip, What do you bring? How do you survive? What are the snacks? All the things. I'll start with you, Heather.
Well, coming from just a spouse household, so me and my spouse, we listen to a lot of music.
Yeah.
We kind of soak in the sights and talk about things, you know, we have conversations about like our dreams and our goals and like all the things you kind of put off when you're in the mundane like routine of your own life. Like it's time in a car to just like be with each other and like talk and like have deep conversations and take in the sights and talk about your next trip or talk about your next like goal as a couple or whatever. So it's kind of nice time to just listen to music, reconnect, and just be there present with each other.
So true.
Yeah, that's fun. And, you know, obviously stopping for the foodie type stuff.
Yeah.
Depends on how much you want to stop, right? I'm like, are we there yet? Can we get there?
Yeah.
Like, let's minimize the stops. My husband's all like, no, like, let's plan this like nice little stopover at this like food shack on the side of the road. And it's, you know, it's fun. You make it an adventure.
For sure.
That's what our road trips look like. What about you, Liz? A little different, I'm sure. With the kids and the
Little
dog.
different. It's like meaningful conversations in the car. It's been about 10 years since I've had one of those. But we used to have a Tahoe, and with the 3 rows of seats, often my husband, he's the driver. He's the get from point A to point B as fast as you can. If we stop once in 12 hours, it's too much. I would sit in the 3rd row of the car and the kids would be in the middle. And like, I was their concierge, like food, there has to be food, there has to be drinks, there has to be plastic bags because my kids get they get car sick.
Oh, yeah.
And so like, if one of them's sick, like I'm ready with the bag.
Yeah.
So I would sit in the way back and just take care of the kids in the middle seat. Now they're a little bit older now. They're almost 8 and 10. They run their own iPads. They kind of run the show. But when it comes to stops, my husband's like, look, there's a rest area, or there's a rest stop that has a Starbucks next to a Chick-fil-A. And that is the only way that we'll stop, is if we can get coffee and food at the same time.
Everybody's happy. Yeah.
But not too much liquid, because then you have to stop again.
Right. And we definitely temper it back.
That gets regulated on our road trips too.
Yeah, same. So aside from family travel with our spouses, let's talk girls trips and staycations and like fun, like non-PCS, non-TDY type travel. Have you guys done a staycation or a girls trip? Like Heather, have you done a girls trip or?
Yeah, last October I did a girls trip with 2 of my absolute best friends. We went to Florida. We stayed on the Panhandle, in the Gulf, like in that 30A area between Destin and Panama City Beach, which was so fun. Just a long weekend, chilled out. It was wonderful, and so necessary. Sometimes it's just so nice to reconnect with your friends. Again, it's one of those things that sometimes gets brushed off to the side. So highly recommend if you haven't taken a girls trip in a while.
Yeah. We had a girls trip where there were about 8 of us, and we were able to get the adjoining rooms at the hotel, and just being able to just sit back in the comfy chairs. Like that's also a thing. Are there chairs in the rooms where people can sit down and reconnect and just laugh and have a great time? So important. But then I also think that having a me day is also important, which I did a couple months ago as well, where it was just a room for me and I did whatever I wanted. And it was so important and so much fun. And I was able to go out and just explore the location where I was and had a blast. So
that's important too, treating yourself, even just buying yourself a new pair of pajamas and going and doing a staycation, even if it's, you know, it's a more like scaled down hotel without a ton of frills, where you get the free breakfast in the morning and you just get a hotel room to yourself with your new pajamas. Maybe you're a book reader and you get to read your book or do your nails or just do something for you. That's so important. So
how about you, Liz? Like staycation, girls trip?
Life has not calmed down enough for a staycation lately. Girls trips. I'm planning one.
Yes.
Hopefully.
Yes.
So it's always in the back of my mind because I want that, I need that. But like you got talking about new pajamas. I
Oh,
get
yeah,
really
you
excited
should,
about
like,
new pajamas. Like, isn't
Yeah.
it? There's just something about wearing a coordinated set of pajamas. And maybe I'm like extra bougie, but if I'm sleeping in like my husband's old t-shirt, it's just not. It's not as cool. But if I get like a matching set of pajamas, it makes me so happy.
And it's something for you. I mean, there's a lot of focus on, you know, giving your kids the best and like making sure they're like taken care of and all of that you're in your husband's old t-shirt, which is great, you know, like, and that's sometimes like the most like comforting little piece of home for you, but like having that opportunity to just go and be by yourself. and like treat yourself is so key.
Yeah, I go and I get like the face mask thing, you know, where you
Oh,
were like, no one
yes.
can see me right now because I look very, very
It
scary.
looks like a piece of bologna on my
Yes,
head.
and then I turn on the HGTV, because we don't have cable at our house, but at the hotels, I'm like, this is my time to watch HGTV.
I'm ordering a pizza that I don't have to
Right,
share. It's
right.
still warm. I
Yes.
can drink my warm cup of
Yeah,
coffee.
and it's just, it's a great refresh, so,
Yeah.
yeah. It's good stuff.
I
but-
remember about 10 years ago, when I don't know what was going on in the hotel industry at the time, I was just purely a traveler, but they seemed to be having bed wars. Like every hotel started talking about how comfortable their beds were.
Yeah.
And so you started booking a hotel like, oh, they have, I don't even remember the name, the dream bed or the cloud bed or something. And I've noticed that now hotels actually have really comfortable beds.
Oh
And if
my
you're in one that doesn't, it's awful. But like I was laying in bed last night, I was like, oh, thank God it's a comfortable bed with good pillows. Like that is a make or break
The
thing.
pillows are a big thing. We know that everyone has different comfort levels when it comes to pillows. And so I can't tell you the amount of pillows that have been in our corporate office being tested out over the years that I've worked there.
I
It's
want
been
that job.
insane. I know, it's really cool. And even just, it's so funny if this is semi off topic, but like the design that goes into all the hotel rooms, like not just beds and pillows, but at this hotel in particular, it doesn't have carpet. So you notice how carpet can be really triggering for people sometimes in a hotel room, not only like feeling wise, but just cleanliness wise and whatever. Well, we test out all kinds of flooring and pillows and all this stuff, and we make tons of refinements so that we have the best design for families and travelers of all types. And one of the things I loved when I walked into my room yesterday here was that the floor was like it's like a LVP or LVT or whatever, like luxury vinyl.
Yeah.
But it looks like wood and it just feels clean. It
It
feels
does,
nice.
yeah.
And then you've got the nice comfortable bed and pillows and like the whole gamut of everything. It just makes you feel good and
Feels
makes
more
you,
like home.
yeah, it feels a lot like home and it just makes you feel really good about where you're staying.
Yeah.
I like that. Like it's just kind of a calming effect. So design is really important in hotels. And I don't know how much that impacts where you stay when you're looking for a hotel and you're looking at pictures, and how do you decide, drop in the chat, how do you decide where you're going to stay? Definitely a fan of a hotel with a good pillow. Absolutely. It can make it or break it.
Yeah.
For sure. For sure, Trish.
And then there's people, there's like two teams of pillow lovers, right? Like there's the one pillow, doesn't matter what it's like, just as long as there's a pillow under me. And
Yeah.
there's like, give me 6 pillows under my
Yeah.
head and one to curl my arms around. Like I'm the.
And
Yeah.
the different
Yeah.
firmness. And then the other thing too is people are allergic to feathers sometimes. And so you have to be really careful with the different pillows and make sure you've got a variety for people and that there aren't allergies and stuff like that. So we're also super cognizant of that, but it's nice to have options.
It is,
for
it
everyone.
really is. Well, and I'm laughing about Liz sleeping last night because before we went to bed, we were talking about working out in the morning, and we always talked about like, do you bring the workout clothes and do you actually work out? I'm the girl that I pack the workout clothes always, and I never go work out because I just like last night I went to bed and I was asleep and it was the best sleep I've had in a very, very long time. So, but then I get a text from Liz and she's like, look at me in the gym. And I'm like, oh, I was gonna do that with you, but I did not. So, yeah.
I'm the kid who packs the workout clothes and is like the first one in
Yeah.
there in the morning, and I get super annoyed if there's other people in there before me. I'm like, yeah, I was gonna use that machine, or like you're hogging all the weight. Like I'm that girl in the hotel. Like I will scope out the hotel workout room before anything. And the one here, I loved it, and I actually made like a mental note, like I need to talk about this because maybe I'm the only one, but. The one here, the front wall is all glass. So you get a lot of natural light from outside, but it's also not like you're in a cave, because as a female who travels alone most of the time, like I do worry about being in a workout room that's very closed off.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
if somebody closes, like what if there's someone in there?
And away from everything too.
Yeah.
Yes, like
Mhm.
it's kind of a dark topic for our nice lighthearted coffee connection, but
Yeah.
really like you
Safety
got to
is
think
key.
about those things. And this one had big, huge glass wall. Like you couldn't hide in there, which
Yeah.
was great.
Yeah.
And the pool here is the same way too. Actually, it's completely, it's an indoor pool, but it's full of windows. So it really makes you feel like you're outside, which is great because you kind of get the best of both worlds here.
Yeah.
So you can use it all year long.
Yeah. When it's truly the little things like that. The gym, there's a restaurant here that it was really cool coming in last night. and seeing all the people just kind of gathered around in a common space, having a drink, having some dinner. And it just, again, it kind of just makes you feel like you're in a really fun, comfortable spot.
And you're like, I want to be there.
Yeah, I know.
I want to be there.
Yeah, exactly. So
Yeah.
really appreciate that.
So let's talk about hotels overseas, because we've all been
Yes.
over there. So a lot of us have lived overseas and we've traveled a lot and been to these hotels overseas. Isn't it funny how different they are, like depending on where you are in the world? It's like
Yeah.
my first overseas experience was living in Japan, where every hotel had at least some slippers because you take your shoes off at the door, but they look different, they feel different, they smell different, the beds are smaller, and like you lived in Europe.
Yeah.
What did you think of the hotels over there?
So it just really depended on where you were, like you said, and then it was always fun to open up the closet and say like, oh, there's a robe, there's slippers or something like that. Because then of course, like no matter what time you arrive at the hotel, you have to put the robe on. Like even if you just put the robe on over your clothes and then you put the slippers on and all you have to do is just sit back in your chair and you made it, like you have a robe on in the hotel. Like,
Instant
right,
relaxation.
exactly. Like that's all you need. But yeah, I mean, it's interesting how some of the bigger hotels that were over there were very simple too. Very clean, very simple, but it was everything that you needed because everything was outside, that to explore. So I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, my brain always goes to food and
Yeah.
start thinking about the different breakfasts that are
Yeah,
offered.
that's true.
The first time I went to a hotel in Japan and they were like, we have a free breakfast for you. And I went down and it was like fish and all these things that I don't typically think of as breakfast foods. And that's what was available. It's like, all right, I got to make like, I'm an eggs, muffin, toast, like give me all the American breakfast foods. And I'm not ugly about it, but that's what my body wants in the morning.
Yeah.
So you see these different offerings, and like when we lived in Europe, there's a lot more like yogurt and dried fruit and
Yes.
things like that. So
Yeah.
I felt healthy, but it still didn't fill me up.
Yeah.
When they had the little cups that you put your eggs in, but I didn't know that, being over there. So I'm like, I grabbed the little cup and I'm like, well, okay. So I'm like putting jelly in it and you could just tell like the people who knew what that was, like, that's not right.
She not from around
Yeah. I heard quickly when I saw everyone else carrying their egg in it. So yeah, like the meats and the cheeses in in Germany that was one part where it was like, okay, so I always made like a meat, cheese, like jam sandwich. My husband's like, that does not look good. But I'm like, I'm gonna figure it out. We were at a hotel one time where Nutella was a big thing. Like I feel like it started to come out and be a big thing. And I would keep going up and getting more Nutella. And then there's this little 3-year-old and he goes, Mama, the lady eating all the Nutella. I got called out for that. But
Yeah, a good breakfast is super key and it can be a very different experience. So if you are going somewhere new, make sure you research.
yeah.
Because it can be a little bit like daunting and you're like, what?
Yes.
Not used to this. This is not what I was expecting.
Right. When you get to the hotel, are you one to like unpack all of your luggage, and put it away, or do you just kind of like live out of the suitcase and then go?
Do
What do you
people
guys
use
do?
the drawers?
Yeah.
Do people use the drawers in hotels?
No, I don't. I'm
No.
speaking for myself. No.
Yeah, I do not.
I do. No.
Yeah.
Does anybody use the drawers? Do you guys use the drawers? No.
I'll
The
use
top
shelves.
shelf. Yeah,
Shelves.
shelves, but not drawers. Yeah, I'm not. I don't think I've ever, even if I'm staying for like 3 or 4 nights, I don't think I've ever put stuff in drawers. I'll hang
No.
stuff up
Same.
if
Yeah,
it can get wrinkled.
yeah.
Always
Good.
use that depending on our stay.
Okay, all right, Teresa, we see
Even
you.
if it's a longer stay. Yeah, and it probably also depends a little bit on the size of your family and I
Right.
suppose like all the things you have. And how you pack. Speaking of packing, I know packing cubes are a hot
Yes.
thing.
Yes.
All right, packing cube users, yes, no,
Yes.
how do you use them? Talk about
Packing
it.
cubes. I love it because so this is a funny story. My mother-in-law had back in the day when Amazon was kind of new. My mother-in-law, I love her. She's in her 80s and she has more technology savvy than I do. So she was on Amazon on her phone and she was trying to order some packing cubes for her sister, whose name is also Liz.
Okay.
And she accidentally sent them to me. And Amazon sent me 2 by mistake. So I got 2 pair different colors of packing cubes and I called her and I thanked her for it. She's like, that wasn't for you, but I guess you can keep
Okay.
them. So I started using these like years ago and I love them. Like there's one for my day-to-day clothes. There's one for my workout clothes. There's one for my undergarments. There's one for shoes to keep the dirt off of everything.
Yeah.
It's like, it just makes everything so tidy. And I'm not obsessed with tidies, but I just feel like when I look at a tidy suitcase, I see where everything is. Nothing's gonna fall out when I'm going through TSA.
Yeah,
It makes all the difference to me.
Yeah.
What do you think? Packing cubes or not?
I use them personally. I think it's again really helpful, especially if I do it various ways. I'll either do it like day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4, when I'm on like a really intense business trip with a lot of different like events and like if it's our conference or something that we're hosting, I will pack by day because I have, 3 different looks depending on, I might be like presenting and then leading a round table and then like there's a social event at night and I need to have that all organized for myself. But on more like leisurely trips, it's like swimsuits and tops and bottoms and pajamas and socks and all that stuff like in different cubes. But just like you, Liz, like it makes things so much more organized and easy to find.
Yeah.
Well, I was not a cube user, but then it was like the last trip I was on with Liz, she opens up her suitcase and I'm like, what is that?
Like a bento box and you're with the bitch.
So since within the past couple of months, I'm like, must get packing cubes. Like this is a very important thing. And I went and got them. And so for this trip, I'm like, I feel very organized. So I mean, if you guys feel like I changed a little bit, it's because I have the packing cubes.
Nicole is a new person.
Yeah, I'm a little bit more
Yeah.
organized now. So,
Speaking of organization, one tip I would give to if you haven't used this in the past is I'm a big list maker. And in order to make sure I have everything and don't forget anything, especially the morning that you're leaving, where that's the morning you grab your phone chargers and your phone and like all the other devices and things that you need. I have an app on my phone called To Do. It's Microsoft based, but obviously you can use like your notes app or other things, but anything that allows me to like physically check something off and like get it off my list, I use. So I have this one called Travel and I can either just uncheck everything from the last time or throughout the week before I'm leaving, I'll type out stuff that I know I need, like even the mundane stuff like toothpaste and a toothbrush and stuff like that, because those are the things you will forget.
Yeah.
So I use my little app to just like check it all off and see it disappear.
I'm a big believer in like a place for everything and everything in its place. Not, I mean, if you went to my house, you'd be like, really, Liz, really? But when you're traveling, especially because you're so on the go and you don't want to leave anything behind. The cords, the packing cubes, like, and the list. I live and die by my list. I'm a pencil and paper girl though. Like I have to physically check it off the list. And if it's not on the list, if I was distracted when making the list and I accidentally leave off toothbrush, I'm not bringing a toothbrush because there's no common sense. Like when I'm in packing mode, I'm living and dying off the list and there's like a system.
yeah.
The things that I have to get in the morning, they're always circled. Now I'm just coming off sounding really like robotic, but
No.
there
It
really
keeps
is
you
like, there has to
organized.
be an organization system.
In a world where there are so many distractions and so many other responsibilities, keeping yourself organized, because I am so like you, Liz, if it's not on the list, it's not coming with me. So it's really, really important for me. And I'm sure some of you out there are very big list makers. So
When you travel, if you're a reader, do you prefer like a physical book or do you prefer a Kindle or electronic device to read?
Such a good question.
okay.
Nicole, what do you think?
Well, I blame that I don't read a lot because of my kids, so we'll just leave it with that piece. But when I do get to read, it's a magazine. Like I have to have a magazine, and that's like my guilty pleasure. Again, when I do a girls' staycation or my own type of traveling, I bring about 5 or 6 magazines that I know I will be able to enjoy. And it's always a magazine though that's from like 2 years ago, because that's how far behind I am. So I'm always then like, wait, what? Who just got married, or who just, and then we're like, that's old.
They're divorced now.
Yeah, right, exactly. So what about you guys?
I always bring an iPad. I have my Kindle app. I actually rent books from my local library and download them onto my Kindle app. And so I take that with me because I read so much faster with electronic books that I don't have to have 3, 4, 5 books in my backpack and feel like I'm taking up a bunch of extra space. I can return that book, download the next thing, and move on. So I like electronic books a little bit better for me.
I always take a Kindle when I travel,
Yeah.
but I actually prefer physical books.
Yeah.
I love the act of turning a page, and okay, you said there's so much going on in the world. I am so guilty of, I'll read like 3 pages and then realize I don't remember anything I just read, and I'll have to go back and read it all over again, because like maybe I'm hearing the waves or whatever if I'm on vacation. So I love the Kindle because it saves space, but I would much rather have books with me.
Yeah.
I'm just reading, Sharon said, does Radisson hotels typically include a mini fridge and microwave in the rooms? It's here.
A lot of them
Yeah.
do. It's, like more than half of our hotels do, our rooms have them in there. So we have a whole page on our website, RadissonHotelsAmericas.com, that showcases what the amenities are in each room. And if ever in doubt, you can always call the hotel and say, hey, what rooms do have these? So you can make sure that you book the right room type. So there you can see all of our locations, and actually I'll take that one step further if I may. We have a military first program. So we, again, are super dedicated and really gracious and grateful to all of you and for all the sacrifices that you make in your dedication. So we have a military first program where we provide special rates for you, just with your identification. And then we also provide some extras. So we do a room upgrade when available. If you book through that RadissonHotelsAmericas.com/military page, and then we always try to take care of you and ask you what matters to you. Like, do you want a room closer to the elevator? Do you want a room on the first floor or high floor? Do you need a microwave and fridge? Like, our hotels are really attentive and they really try to deliver on that. So it's just an easy way for us, and it's a way that we're able to say thank you and make sure that your travel experience is easy and painless. So
Much appreciated.
yeah, absolutely. So that's one place that you can book and kind of look at all those different amenities. But again, when in doubt, call the hotel and they will be able to tell you what kind of room type to book, or maybe even get you into that room when you arrive. So just make sure to vocalize that that's something that's very helpful for you, and they can usually try to accommodate that. The other thing I always have to have when traveling too is like a liquid hydration, because I get so dehydrated when traveling, especially if it's a long road trip. We talked about minimal stops, or if it's, running through airports, like literally running through airports and trying to catch connections and stuff with flights has been nuts these days. So trying to stay hydrated, and if you have access to a bottle of water and a liquid hydration packet, like you will feel 20 times better.
Yeah, and that's a simple thing to pack too.
Yeah, it's dry, it's in small packets.
Right.
I always have it with me.
Yeah.
When I start feeling crummy, I'm like, oh, I must be dehydrated.
Right.
Must need a little something.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And ever since airlines got to be real sticklers about what you can take through TSA, and you can't bring your own bottles of water anymore. Am I the only one who gets extra excited when an airport has those bottle filling stations where you're like, I can fill my bottle up for free. I don't have to pay $5 for a bottle of water.
Yes.
Like, game changer. And then if you can add in your hydration, then it tastes good no matter where you are.
Totally.
It's funny the things that have come up in the last few years that we never had to worry about before.
Yeah.
For sure.
Add the water bottle to your list, or else you'll leave it on the counter.
I always bring a travel steamer because you never know when you're gonna need it. You're like, oh, this won't wrinkle in my packing cubes or whatever, and it always is.
Yeah.
It's frustrating. And then irons can be really dicey, or maybe they don't have them. So it's nice to have a little travel steamer.
I'm gonna check that out and actually add it to my wish list, because that sounds incredible.
I don't have a steamer at all, much less a travel steamer.
I know.
That's not very
I mean, it's nice and compact. It's, it's yay big, easy to fit like in between things, in between your packing cubes or in a corner of your suitcase, and so easy to take.
All right, for me, it's a white noise machine,
Oh,
but it's just an app on my phone now.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
we never had white noise like growing up, but when my first daughter was born, we lived in kind of a noisy area where there was a lot of street noise and there was cars honking and sirens, and somebody said, just get a white noise machine for her room. And so she would have it in her room and I'd have the monitor next to my head. So I got the white noise. So fast forward 4 years and our kids no longer need a monitor because they would just come get us in the middle of the night. I missed that noise.
Yeah.
And so we downloaded this white noise app. So I always have to have white noise if I'm in a hotel or someone else's house. Like my mom thinks I'm so weird. She'll wake up in the morning and be like, I thought I heard water running all night and it was just your white noise machine. So for me, it's got to be a noisemaker.
Oh, that's a good one.
Do you put it on a timer or do you let it go?
I just let it go all night.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know what the app is that we have, and I don't get paid enough to talk about it on camera. But, but if they find this and want to, I'll look up what it is. But it's just got different, like you could do nature sounds, rain sound. It's old. I mean, we've had it for a while.
Yeah.
it's just literally a white noise.
That's
It's like
amazing.
static, like
Yeah.
an AM static radio kind of thing.
I should have used that last night.
Yeah,
You know, like anytime you're in a new environment, it takes a while to adapt, and that's kind of the comfort of home, right?
Right.
Yeah.
It's so funny. I mean, it's funny you say that because it's new stuff that you're used to. So last night I put on lullabies because that's what my kids fall
Yeah.
asleep to. So I'm like, yeah, it's like that comfort. And so I put on lullabies last night and then fell asleep in the most comfortable bed in the world. So I
Yeah,
was just like, and I was asleep so fast. I'm like, that's the trick.
Do your
Lullabies.
kids listen to lullabies all night long or just? to
Well,
sleep?
kind of for like nap time, if we're trying to do naps or just trying to wind them down. Especially in hotel rooms, because you know, if you're all kind of together, it's like, how can we wind them down? Because
Yeah.
we're all in the same room. Put some lullabies on and they're out, and apparently I am too. So do you guys put an emergency set of clothes in your like carry-on or in your backpack? Because I started doing that
Yes.
just in case your luggage doesn't make it. Then you have your emergency clothes, hopefully to get you by, yeah. So that's a thing. Okay.
Yeah, when we moved to Germany, we were supposed to have had like 5 layovers between the States and Germany. And our kids were small at the time. They were not even 1 and 3. And so in my carry-on, I had a change of clothes for everybody,
Yeah.
except my husband, because I
wow.
don't pack for my husband. Like I got
Right.
enough to worry about. Sure enough, 10 pieces of luggage got lost
Oh, man.
on our way there. So we arrived with nothing, not even car seats. And so we were PCSing. It was everything that wasn't in our household midshipment. And we had to go to the PX there at Panzer. Shout out to Stuttgart Panzer PX. We had to buy all new clothes, but not for a couple days because I had clean underwear
Yeah.
and clean pants. But the one thing was it was August. We had left Louisiana, it was 100 degrees. We landed in Stuttgart, it was 55 and rainy. So we had to buy coats anyway and sweatshirts.
my
But
gosh.
my husband was like, why didn't you pack something for me?
I mean,
That's another topic for another session for another day. But yeah, so I always have a change of clothes.
Yeah,
yeah,
Do you?
yeah, absolutely. Always and forever.
yeah.
That and just a little thing of over-the-counter meds, like a few like doses of OTC meds, like anything you could ever think of or need.
Yeah.
I know that you used to be able to find kits with like a sleep aid and, you know, stomach remedy and headache medicine and stuff like that, but I haven't seen those in a long time, so I just kind of make my own now.
Yeah. Same. I have a little pouch that I put in like purse, then I can put it to backpack, then I can put it in luggage or whatever that has like a little sewing kit, like band-aids, some like to go
Yes.
Tylenol, things like that. So honestly, like if you're in an emergency and I'm near you, I'll be able to save you. So with all of my
All right, well,
Paperclip.
this reminded me of a conversation we had the other day, overpacker or underpacker? Because I used to be a classic overpacker, but I don't know what it is, something about my old age. I'm like very streamlined now. Like I have just enough to get by every day. And I told Nicole, like, you're gonna overpack. I will shop in your suitcase if I have to. So are you an overpacker or an underpacker?
It depends on the situation, it depends on the trip.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'm an overpacker because again, you have to be prepared, you never know.
Everything.
And also I never know what I'm gonna feel like wearing that day
Yeah.
or what the weather will be like, stuff like that. So usually overpacker, but there have been a couple of occasions when I've underpacked and then I'm like, I should have overpacked. See?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Should have.
I'm an overpacker. I admit it. I'm here. I'm telling you all, overpacker right here. But it's just one of those things like you don't know. And I always like to go with the flow. And so it's just kind of like, well, I don't know if we're going to be doing this or that, but I will be able to be ready for either one. But it's funny because when we did live in Europe and there was an airline where you could only bring a backpack and you had to pay quite a bit if you checked the bag. So it was learning how to pack a backpack full of clothes for like a 3 or 4 day trip. And it had to weigh less than like 30 pounds or something like that. So I got really good at doing that. But now not so much. It's like, yeah, check the bag, check the other things. Yeah.
Pre-kids.
Right,
Pre-kids, for
exactly.
Sure. You have to have what you need.
Right. And well, then in that case, I'd be like Jerry Ann, where she said she's washing clothes in the sink because I'm like, I only brought 3 outfits and we're here for 8 days. So
And I got dirty on the plane and one of
Right.
my outfits.
Well, I mean, if you're totally cool with doing laundry, like definitely by all
Yeah.
means, like that's a great way to save space and
right.
just be able to keep like versatilely using things. for
Exactly.
Sure.
Yeah.
Depends on how long you're there.
So this past piece, yes, so just a couple days ago, I needed like a pair of shorts and I had nothing, like just because of the situation we were in. But I had my 5-year-old's shorts available, and so like they were the elastic like sports shorts. And I'm like, I wonder. And so I just take them and I put them on and I'm like, biker shorts, they look like biker shorts. And we went with it. And then like, I was like, this is not right. Like this, you should not be, but I went with it. It worked and it was fine. But you know, like,
So resourceful.
right?
That's
I know,
impressive.
is this gonna work? And then, you know, they're like, what? I'm like, don't ask. We're just gonna go with the, we're gonna go with the look.
We don't have time to go to Walmart,
Right,
you know,
right.
no, just,
Yes.
no.
Yeah, so
Borrowing clothes
that's
from your
happening.
kids.
Yeah,
I
I'll
like
try
it.
it.
All right, anybody out there borrow clothes from their children? Throw it in there.
I
So
mean,
your
I
clothes
don't
out loud.
recommend it, but
It's, it's that mill spouse life. We were prepared for everything.
Right.
And
Yeah.
anything.
Yeah.
Like just throw it at us and we're ready.
For
It's true.
sure, for sure.
Well, we're coming up at
Yeah.
the top of the hour.
Yeah.
There is one question that we always ask our special guests, so I'm gonna turn it back to Heather and I'm gonna ask you this. We always ask, what's the best piece of advice you've ever been given?
Wow, you did not even prepare me for that one.
Because we're live, it's fine.
Oh my goodness. Probably just be kind. Be kind to everyone that you meet. You never know what people's situations are or how you can help, and it will pay in dividends back to you. So always just be kind.
I love that. And we adore Heather. She has been one of the sweetest
I
people to
do.
hang out with. We've had so much fun with her and really appreciate the partnership that we have with Radisson. And
All right, well, we wish you all the best. Have a wonderful August, a happy fall, and we'll see you guys next time. Cheers.
cheers.
Thank you for being here. We'll see you next time.